All right, so today we are going to be taking a deep dive into the world of digital wellness.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, and specifically, we're going to be focusing on online content habits. So
That's a big one.
it is a big one, how it affects our lives.
Yeah.
We've got some pretty fascinating sources lined up for you today.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, we've got excerpts from an academic paper, and we've got a really, really lively expert panel discussion.
Sounds juicy.
It is. It is. We're going to be tackling some thought-provoking questions like, is all online content created equal? Can we control how it influences us?
All good questions.
Right. Think of it like a diet for your mind. Some content is nutritious, some of it is like straight up junk food, and some might even be harmful.
Ooh, I like that analogy. That's good.
Yeah, so first up, we're going to be summarizing the key points in this academic paper called Digital Wellness, Understanding Online Content Habits. This thing covers a lot of ground, from the psychology behind, what we click on to how tech messes with our sleep and relationships.
The psychology behind what we click on.
Yeah. And you know what? This paper even uses the term orgasm gap.
Orgasm gap.
Yeah, orgasm gap. It's to describe how online experiences can like totally warp our expectations for real life relationships.
I know that is interesting.
It is, and it gets even wilder when we move to our second source, a panel discussion all about the impact of pornography.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, these experts, they do not hold back.
Lead on me.
Okay, so we've got three very different voices here. Dr. Rena Malik, she's a urologist focusing on sexual health.
Got it.
We've got Dr. K, he's an addiction psychiatrist.
Interesting.
And then there's Erica Lust, and she actually produces adult films. So
Oh, okay. So we've got a wide range of perspectives there.
yeah, and they cover everything from the potential benefits of pornography to its potential negative impacts on um, like brain development, relationships, and even societal trends.
That's a big topic to cover.
It is, it is. But hearing these experts hash it out, it's really incredibly insightful. So first up, the big question, Ria. Is pornography beneficial or harmful to society?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It is. And so Erica Lust, she comes out swinging. She's arguing that porn, especially for women, can be empowering.
Okay, so she sees it as a tool for empowerment.
Yeah. Yeah. She's saying it helps people explore their desires, break free from like old-fashioned ideas about sex.
So challenging the status quo.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can see that.
Okay, but then Dr. K, he's worried that the harms outweigh any good.
I see. So he's coming at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, especially with kids, getting exposed early.
That's a valid concern.
He talks about, the potential for addiction and just the fact that most porn is made for profit, not really for people's well-being.
So it's more about the business than the actual people.
Yeah, and then we've got Dr. Malik, who she kind of falls somewhere in between. She's seeing benefits for some people.
So she's got a more nuanced view.
Yeah, yeah. She acknowledges that, but then she also points out how porn can become a problem.
Yeah, right. So too much of a good thing can be bad.
Exactly, exactly. And then she also talks about how those unrealistic portrayals that you often see in porn, they really can screw with our body image,
That makes sense.
and they can even like make us anxious about sex in real life.
So it can really affect how we see ourselves and how we approach intimacy.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually. Dr. K noticed that the two women on the panel, they were more positive about porn than he was.
That is interesting.
Makes you think, right? Like how our gender and personal experiences really kind of color how we see this stuff.
Absolutely. Our backgrounds and experiences definitely shape our perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get specific. All right.
Okay, let's dive in.
Dr. K is seriously concerned about how early exposure to porn might actually be like rewiring kids' brains.
Rewiring their brains.
Yeah, making them more prone to addiction later on.
That's a serious concern.
Yeah, and he calls this the kindling effect. It's where getting those brain circuits firing early on, it just makes them way more susceptible, later on.
So, like, setting the stage for potential problems down the road.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see what he's saying.
Makes you think about, your own childhood,
Yeah.
about what you were exposed
What
to.
we were all exposed to.
Right. And it's not just about addiction, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Gay points out that a lot of people use porn as a way to cope with, you know, stress, anxiety, loneliness.
Yeah, so it's a coping mechanism.
Right. And it seems harmless,
Yeah.
at first, but it can create this cycle of shame and reliance that keeps you from being motivated to do other things in life.
So it's like a temporary fix that can lead to bigger issues.
Yeah, exactly. And he compares it to fast food.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, those tube sites,
Yeah.
they're designed to get you hooked, binging on content that isn't exactly, good for you in the long run.
I see. So it's like empty calories for the mind.
Yeah. And just like junk food, you might find yourself needing more and more extreme stuff to get the same effect.
So it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, yeah. He even told this wild story, actually, about beetles.
Beetles.
Yeah, trying to mate with green beer bottles.
What? That's so strange.
It is. But apparently it illustrates this concept called supernormal stimuli. It's where our brains can get tricked by these things that are like exaggerated versions of what we're naturally drawn to.
I see. So we're drawn to the extreme versions rather than the natural ones.
Exactly. We chase the dopamine hit, But it can leave us feeling empty in the end.
So it's like a false promise of satisfaction.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good reminder that those super stimulating things, whether it's porn, social media, even junk food, they could really hijack our brains.
And with technology constantly evolving, it's only going to get easier to create those kinds of experiences.
Exactly. And that's where things start to get ethically tricky.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about the brain, but what about the heart? How does all this affect our real-life relationships?
That's a crucial question.
And Dr. Malik, she brings up a point that's a little awkward, but very real.
Oh, lay it on me.
She's seen how people who rely heavily on porn, they can actually struggle to get the same level of satisfaction with a real partner.
So the expectations don't match up with reality.
Yeah, it's like their brains have become accustomed to this Hollywood version of sex.
I can see that.
And that's the problem, right? Porn often gives this unrealistic, idealized picture of sex.
Yeah, it's all perfect bodies, crazy scenarios.
Right.
Performances designed to be visually stimulating.
Exactly. And it can make it tough to connect with the real deal.
So the fantasy world can overshadow the real world.
Yeah, and Dr. K, he adds that this gap between fantasy and reality, it can actually lead to performance anxiety,
That makes sense.
body image issues,
Yeah.
expectations that are just impossible to meet.
It's setting people up for disappointment.
It really makes you wonder how much porn influences what we think is normal when it comes to sex and relationships,
It's a valid question.
Yeah, is it just harmless fun, or is it shaping our expectations in a way that's not so healthy?
I mean, it definitely has an impact on our perceptions.
It does. And then there's the dark side of porn,
Oh, okay.
the violence that's often portrayed,
Yeah.
And the panel gets into how this can desensitize people to aggression, especially, young people.
So it's normalizing violence.
Yeah, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality.
Right.
And Dr. K worries that it can twist people's understanding of consent and what's acceptable in a relationship.
That's a really dangerous consequence.
It is. Dr. Malik actually gave a specific example that really stuck with me.
What was that?
She talked about how choking during sex has become normalized in porn.
Right.
But in real life, that could be incredibly dangerous
Oh, absolutely.
if there isn't, clear consent and communication.
That's a crucial point.
It is. It's a reminder that what might seem hot in a fantasy world can have, serious consequences in real life.
Yeah, we can't forget that there's a difference between fantasy and reality.
Exactly. And we need to be way more critical of what we're watching
And more discerning.
and question whether it's promoting healthy behaviors or normalizing things that could be harmful.
So we need to be active viewers, not passive consumers.
Yeah, and Dr. K even went into the possible reasons behind this rise in choking during sex.
Okay, what do you say?
Well, he thinks it might be related to altered states of consciousness and the addictive nature of risky behavior.
So there could be a physiological and psychological component?
Yeah, apparently cutting off oxygen to the brain, it can trigger a rush of adrenaline and endorphins,
Oh, wow.
making people feel, euphoric and aroused.
But that sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is incredibly dangerous.
It's not worth the risk.
So it's not just about what we're consuming online, but also how it's affecting us physically and emotionally.
Right. the whole picture.
We can't just blindly follow trends or assume everything we see is harmless.
We need to be more aware.
We need to be aware of the potential consequences and make informed choices.
Informed choices.
Yeah, for sure. And then the panel kind of shifted gears to talk about alternatives to excessive porn use, including this idea of no FAP.
No FAP.
Yeah, it means abstaining from both porn and masturbation.
Oh, okay. So a complete break.
And some people swear it helps with focus, motivation, even mental clarity. And Dr. K, while he was skeptical about some of the wilder claims, he acknowledged that there can be psychological and spiritual benefits to practicing celibacy.
So he sees some potential value in it.
Yeah, especially in in traditions that emphasize self-control.
I can see that.
But Dr. Malik wasn't so sure about these supposed physical benefits, like boosting testosterone or fertility.
So she's more focused on the mental and emotional aspects.
Yeah, she believes it's more important to focus on how people feel about their porn use rather than forcing a one-size-fits-all solution.
I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, she's all about finding a healthy balance, where porn isn't taking over your life.
Right, it's about finding a healthy relationship with it.
Yeah, or messing with your relationships.
Absolutely.
Dr. K made an interesting comparison. He said, no FAP can be like cutting off contact with an ex after a breakup.
Okay, I can see that analogy.
Sometimes creating distance from a source of temptation, even temporarily,
Yeah.
can help us figure out what we really want and need.
So it's about taking a step back and reassessing.
Exactly. What I find fascinating is that this whole no FAP discussion shows that there are many different approaches to finding digital wellness.
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
It's about finding what works for you
Right, what works for the individual.
based on your own experiences and goals.
Exactly. And it sounds like things are about to get even more interesting.
Oh yeah, buckle up, because we are going to be talking about AI and virtual reality. So it's about to get really sci-fi.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, so the conversation took this really fascinating turn toward the future, exploring how AI and virtual reality could change sex and relationships.
Oh.
It gets kind of mind-bending, but Dr. K, he's concerned that as this tech gets, more and more immersive, people might actually start choosing virtual relationships over real ones.
I can see that. I mean, it's already happening to some extent, right? Like
Yeah.
with online gaming, virtual worlds, people are forming deep connections, even romantic relationships online.
But Dr. K is talking about something even more intense,
Well,
right?
Okay, like what?
He's talking about a future where AI and VR could create these experiences that are so real, so emotionally engaging, that they rival like the depth and complexity of human relationships.
So like almost like a science fiction movie, right?
Exactly.
AI companions becoming so advanced that they can understand our emotions, fulfill our needs,
Yeah.
provide companionship that's, tailored to our individual desires.
Yeah, and that's where things get
Scary.
well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, Dr. K, he painted this pretty humorous but also unsettling picture of how things could go wrong.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, he joked that humanity might not end with a bang, but with a whimper, as we all just retreat into virtual worlds with our, perfectly programmed AI partners.
Yeah.
And avoid the messiness and unpredictability of real human connection.
I mean, that's a chilling thought.
It is.
But it also raises a really important question, right? Like, if we can have these incredibly fulfilling virtual experiences, are we still going to be motivated to put in the effort to build and maintain real relationships?
Right, because real relationships, they're messy, they require compromise, they can be, heartbreaking, but that's also what makes them so valuable.
Yeah.
They challenge us to grow, to learn about ourselves and to connect with others on a much deeper level.
But what if technology offers us a way to just like bypass all that?
Right, like what if we can have the rewards of intimacy without the risks?
It makes you wonder if we're almost on the verge of redefining what it means to be human.
I like that.
Like, are we defined by our capacity for reason, our emotions, our ability to connect with others, or are we evolving into something entirely different?
Mm-hmm.
Like merging with technology in a way that fundamentally changes who we are?
These are huge philosophical questions, and there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that we're even asking them shows just how uh, how powerful technology has become. It's not just a tool anymore. It's shaping our values, our beliefs, and our very understanding of what it means to be human.
Okay, but before we get too deep into like existential territory,
Right.
let's bring it back to the real world for a second.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the potential dangers of technology,
Uh-huh.
but let's not forget that it can also be a force for good.
Absolutely. I mean, technology has connected us in ways that were, unimaginable just a few decades ago. It's
Yeah.
given us access to information, resources, and communities that can, enrich our lives.
Yeah.
And it's created these opportunities for learning, creativity, and innovation that are truly remarkable.
So it's not about, demonizing technology.
Right.
It's about using it wisely,
Uh-huh.
setting boundaries,
Mindful.
and being mindful of how it's impacting our lives.
But that could be tough though, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we're, constantly bombarded with notifications, updates,
And-
content that's designed to keep us, hooked.
Yeah, it's like we're living in this giant attention economy
Hmm.
where our time and focus are the most valuable commodities.
Right, and there are countless companies and algorithms, vying for our attention,
Yeah.
using these sophisticated techniques to keep us scrolling, clicking, and consuming.
It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah,
Like we're losing control of our own minds.
I get that.
But we do have a choice, right?
We do.
We can choose to disengage, to set limits, to reclaim our attention and direct it toward things that truly matter to us.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
It's about being more intentional about how we use technology.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the tactics that companies are using to manipulate our attention
Right.
and make conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy.
So what are some practical steps that we can take to kind of navigate this this digital landscape in a healthier way?
Right. Like how can we find balance and protect our well-being without completely, disconnecting from the online world?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're all kind of trying to figure out this this digital balancing act,
Mhm.
how to benefit from technology without letting it completely run our lives.
It's a tough one.
It's not easy when there's always something, vying for our attention.
It's true. It's like we're in a constant tug of war with our devices.
Yeah.
But the good news is I think we have more power than we realize.
Okay.
We just need to start flexing those digital muscles a little bit.
So where do we even begin? Like we can't just, throw our phones away and live off the grid.
Right. It's not about becoming a digital hermit or anything. It's about being mindful
Right.
and setting boundaries. And I think a good first step is to just become aware of your own habits.
Okay.
Pay attention to how much time you spend on different apps and websites,
Yeah.
and ask yourself, like, how does this make me feel?
Yeah.
Is it adding value to my life, or is it just kind of draining my energy?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We often just mindlessly scroll without even like thinking about how it's affecting us.
Right. It's like eating a whole bag of chips without even realizing it. You're not really enjoying it. You're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And just like with food, it's about making conscious choices.
Totally.
You can start by setting some limits on your screen time.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe you designate certain hours as tech-free time,
Yeah.
or you create tech-free zones in your home.
I like that idea. I'm definitely guilty of bringing my phone into the bedroom and just like scrolling before bed, which is not exactly conducive to a good night's sleep.
Right, and that's key. Sleep is one of the first things to suffer when our digital habits get out of whack. We're bombarded with blue light from our screens. Our minds are racing with, information overload, and we're constantly plugged into this world that never sleeps.
It's like our brains never get a chance to truly unplug and recharge.
Yeah.
So what can we do to kind of create more digital downtime, especially before bed?
Well, I think little things can make a big difference.
Okay.
Try putting your phone on do not disturb mode
Yeah.
an hour or two before bed.
Okay.
Resist the urge to check your email or social media right before you sleep.
Right. Instead, read a book, listen to some calming music, or just spend some time talking to your partner.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but it's so easy to just get caught up in that digital vortex, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we've forgotten how to just be present
Right.
and enjoy the moment without feeling the need to document it or share it with the world.
And that's the key, right? It's about reclaiming our attention.
Yeah.
We need to remind ourselves that we have the power to choose what we focus on.
Mhm.
We can choose to direct our attention toward things that nourish our minds and bodies and spirits.
Right.
We can choose to prioritize real life experiences over virtual ones.
It's about being intentional and setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It's about saying no to the endless stream of distractions and making space for the things that truly matter to us.
Exactly. It's not about rejecting technology altogether. It's about using it as a tool to enhance our lives, not control them.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding that sweet spot where technology supports our well-being without compromising our humanity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge
Okay.
this week. Try to be more aware of your own digital habits.
Yeah.
Notice how they make you feel,
Mm-hmm.
and see if you can identify any areas where you might want to create some boundaries or make some changes.
They could exercise.
And remember, you have the power to shape your digital life.
You do.
You can choose to create a digital world that supports your well-being, strengthens your relationships, and allows you to thrive both online and offline.
That's a great message to end on.
Well, on that note, that's a wrap on another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and remember to take care of your digital self.